We have 7kids.org. We have Malachy Tallack, author with the 6th degree Nord, in Italian Il Grande Nord, Iperborea edition. And we do some question to Malachy on your book. How did the idea for the book come about? What circumstance led you to convince and write this book?
So the idea for this book came a long time before the writing of it. I first started thinking about it when I was a teenager, just because I was really interested in this idea of the places that were connected to my home. I grew up partly in the Shetland Islands, which is at 60 degrees north, and there were all of these other countries that were at the same latitude, so Greenland and Canada and Alaska. And I was just very interested in what that meant. What is the connection between my home and these other places? But it wasn't until I was in my mid-20s and this idea was still turning in my head, I thought, I should try and write this, I should do something with this.
The book begins with a painful event, the disappearance of your father following an investment. Is correct?
No.
No.
He died in a car crash.
No? A car?
A car crash, yeah.
A car crash, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Is this book also a sort of inner journey?
There is an inner journey that happens through the book. And when I first started writing, I had not intended to write about that. I wanted it to be a more traditional travel book. But as I did these journeys, I realized that some of the questions that I was asking about these places were very much internal questions for myself about my connection to home. What does it mean to feel at home in a place? And that was connected to my own family circumstances and also to the loss of my father, which is one of the ways in which the book begins.
The Italian translation of the book talks about the Great North, the Grande Nord. And what is that? Is just a geographical expression delimited by the 6 parallel, or is it something profound and particular? And then why is the North big, and is big for?
I think that what I would want a reader to understand from that word great, I suppose, is actually about diversity.
Yeah.
It's that the North is not one thing, that the places that I visit on these journeys, although they share a latitude, they share northernness, they are incredibly different and diverse. And that's really one of the key things that the book is about.
The 6 parallel seems both a borderline and a connecting link. You describe some place like your Shetland Island, Greenland, Alaska, Canada, etc. What did you find in common that led you visit those places beyond the fact of being of the same parallel?
So I was interested in the differences in large part, but in terms of the similarities, I think the key thing is that when you get that far north, when you get to 60 degrees north, it becomes a more difficult place to live. It becomes a more difficult place, for instance, for agriculture, and that these difficulties of climate and sometimes of landscape have shaped the kinds of cultures that have grown up there. In the world, there are cultures that grow up in places that are easy to live, and there are ones that grow up in places of difficulty. And that's the key similarity. All of these places are different, but they're all difficult in their own ways.
Is there a place that left the greatest impression of among those you visit? If yes, why?
So, yes, I think that Canada's a country I had visited before a couple of times and had always loved spending time there. The town that I visit in this book, which is called Fort Smith, is really right in the middle of Canada. If you put a pin in the middle of a map of Canada, that would be Fort Smith. And it made an impression on me because I expected it to be an alien place, a foreign place, because I grew up on an island and Fort Smith is in the middle of a forest, in the middle of a continent. And yet there were really important similarities, I suppose. It felt quite familiar, it felt surprisingly familiar. So the kind of community that exists there, this small town, felt very like home in an odd way, and that had a strong effect on me.
Oh. Beside the Shetland Island, have you returned to the place described in this book? Did they make a different impression on you after you put them on paper? If so, which one?
So the only country that I have returned to since writing the book is Norway, where I went and spent a couple of months in Norway, maybe a year or two after this book came out. And part of the difference, I suppose, comes from when you're writing a book, it is a different kind of attention that you have towards a place, a very focused attention where you're thinking about what you need to know, whereas going to a place not writing, in some ways it allows you to be more open to the kinds of experiences that you have. And so I enjoyed that time of going back to Norway.
Are there other trips you intend to take based the one done in the book?
So this trip is the first time I have left the UK in 6 years, I think, 5 or 6 years. So I have not done that much traveling since I wrote a travel book. I hate flying, so I avoid that sometimes. But I'm very glad to be here, and this is a lovely place to be.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.